Thank you for tuning in to the second part of our presentation. This is Jordan Carlson, and I'll be leading you through the second part, talking about the future of NAFTA. So again, please take any notes you have so you can post on the discussion board afterwards. In the United States, many manufacturers started operations in Mexico because the regulations are fewer and labor less expensive compared to the U.S. market. The manufacturers would then ship the products back to the United States for distribution and sell. NAFTA allows U.S. companies to get around expensive labor and regulation costs that are associated with the U.S. market. As a result, many manufacturing cities and states witnessed a decline in GDP and increases in unemployment as they watched the jobs that once fueled their economies go to Mexico. Some real-life examples: Conchita Hernandez was laid off in 1994 after 20 years in the garment industry, when her plant moved from El Paso to Monterrey, Mexico. Another example is Bill Sellers, who's 61, also learned a hard lesson from the trade pact with Mexico. The former textile factory supervisor lost his job in 2001, a victim of cheaper socks entering the United States from Mexico. The reduction in manufacturing jobs started protectionist sentiment among many Americans, and in November 2016, Donald Trump was elected 45th President of the United States. President Trump won historically Democratic electoral votes, in large part because he campaigned on protectionist platform, including renegotiating NAFTA. President Trump campaigned saying that the United States got the bad end of the deal in both the Trans-Pacific Partnership and NAFTA, and he said in his first 90 days of the presidency that he would sign an executive order to dismantle the Trans-Pacific Partnership and to renegotiate NAFTA. After President Trump dismantled the Trans-Pacific Partnership, many were afraid that his next sights were on NAFTA. However, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said in his confirmation hearing, "I'm optimistic that we could renegotiate a deal that's both advantageous to us and advantageous to Mexico. It's a win-win for both." Proponents of renegotiating NAFTA have argued that by doing so it could help enforce environmental regulation. Right now, many businesses relocate to Mexico because there are weaker controls on environmental regulation, but by renegotiating NAFTA they could set a higher minimum standard between the three countries. They also argue that renegotiating NAFTA could help decrease income disparity. Increasing regulations in regard to labor outside of the U.S. will decrease the amount of outsourcing done to Mexico, allowing for an increase again in United States jobs. Because corn was so much cheaper to produce in the United States, when NAFTA came into place, many farm jobs in Mexico were lost. Farm jobs in Mexico were reduced with NAFTA, leading to an increased migration in Mexican citizens. NAFTA negotiations could bring jobs back to Mexico. Opponents of renegotiating NAFTA argue that products will become more expensive with increased labor costs. This will cause a disparity because wages will remain constant while the standard of living increases. Also, they argue that the renegotiating of NAFTA could be costly and take several years to complete. While NAFTA may be able to decrease outsourcing labor to Mexico, there are no treaties or negotiations with every other country in the world. This will allow a shifting of jobs from Mexico to even cheaper markets. Large MNEs have the resources to outsource to these cheaper countries. However, small businesses are heavily reliant on cross-border trade. In conclusion, NAFTA has its pros and cons. President Trump's viewpoint on the treaty has softened as he's learned more about its complexities and its effects it has, not only on the three markets involved, but the world market. The future is unclear for now, but it will be interesting to see how the new administration will address renegotiating NAFTA. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. Please feel free to write down any questions that you have or comments and post them to the discussion board.
Created using Powtoon.